Virginia City, in Nevada territory, came the miners, some to live and some to die. Where the gold and silver beckoned, they would all get rich, they reckoned. They would strike the richest pay dirt of their lives. In Virginia City's mountain desert high, it was to Virginia City with its Comstock Load discovery. Early settlers came in ragged wagon trains. Here they sought to seek their fortunes where no one had gone before them. Open Lady Luck.
Hi, I'm Joe Curtis. I've considered myself a pretty fortunate individual that I have, over the many years that I've been around here in Virginia City, Nevada, have been able to acquire a significant collection of material that relates to the history of Virginia City, beginning in the 1800s, early 1860s and late 50s. And it has always been my goal to be able to provide what I have learned about the history of this community, not the myths, but the history, the quality history, and that I wanted to be able to provide this to other individuals. At the moment, I seem to be the I'm referred to by some people as the keeper of the tribal history, or others I'm referred to as the town historian. But my parents were in the history business before me. They had a museum for about almost 40 years. And then I had a bookstore for another 25 years or so. And there's a bookstore on the west opening of the American West, and specializing in the history of the Comstock, Virginia City, Nevada. So I've always wanted to be able to provide this history to others, because I'm just a caretaker of this history at the moment. And the opportunity to be able to provide this to other people through live presentations and through large format discussions, and even discussions in roasting house coffee shops, in saloons in Virginia City, teaching and helping some of the docents that you'll see around community when you have an opportunity to visit here. And they will then be able to give quality history to the tourists that are also walking in the community. So what I'd like to do is, with the help of my chief producer and director and general harassment person, and her name is Teresa. She gave me this idea to do this and has the ability to help me put this together. So what I'd like to do as we move forward through a series of things that we're going to do is provide you with a lot of the kind of stories and information that you're not going to see in a book someplace. You're not going to see it probably even in a television documentary, although I have appeared in quite a number of documentaries with Discover and Smithsonian and National Geographic and a number of other organizations that have come here and produced various and sundry documentaries. I've worked with some private documentaries. I've worked with the Nevada Historical Society, and I've been able to be privileged to help people learn more about the truth of the Virginia City, known as the Comstock Load, and try to get them to move away from the myths. There is so much bad information out there about Virginia City that is acquired by folks that I have actually seen appear later on in a textbook for schools. And the information is totally bogus. And I have worked to try to correct some of that stuff. But a lot of these stories are fascinating bits of information about life in Virginia City, the mining industry, how it was done, what the politics were of that era. And I thought about doing this in a book format, but then I was kind of reminded that, hey, that would be pretty neat if you could do this on like a Facebook kind of thing, or one of the other things, I don't do Facebook and I don't do TikTok and all of these other little fancy little things, and I don't do that. I keep getting messages that says I have 900 and some messages on Facebook, but I don't have Facebook, so I don't know how that works. But I do have hordes of information from such things as this being a particular 1875 city directory, and you can kind of see that it is pretty well used. I have copies of all of the city directories, which are not many, for the community. So I'll get a lot of people that will call and they'll ask, do you know anything about so-and-so? And I'll find out when were they here. Well, great-grandpa was here in 1875, and he had a store, or he did this, or whatever, but we don't know where he lived, and we don't know what he did for work and so forth. So I can look up in these directories, and I might be able to look like maybe if somebody called and said, my name is Mr. Krause, and my great-grandfather was William, and he lived in in Virginia City in the 1870s. So I'll get into these directories that I have, and so I look it up, and here I see William Krause. He had a business of a general merchandise, and it was located at 306 and 308 South C Street, which is the main street in Virginia City. And his residence was at 310 South C Street. So he lived right near to his business, which was pretty common. Owners of businesses would live up above or in a residence closely associated with the location of the business. It's really a fun thing to have someone call and say, can you tell me anything about this? And then to be able to look it up and show them and give them that information and help them fill in some of their ancestry material that they have been trying to track down. So you'll see as we move through some of these episodes, if you want to call them that down the road, they're not long, and they're not in horrible depth, if you want to say. There'll be overviews, and we'll do it by subject matter, not necessarily in a chronological order. So I think probably the next one will probably be about general life, what it was like to be a laborer or just a regular person in Virginia City in the 1860s. With that in mind, I invite you to continue to watch this as we pursue trying to correct some myths and bring you some accurate and honest history of Virginia City that is not mediaized, if you will. And we'll have fun doing this together. So we'll see you next time on Virginia City Truths, No Myths.
It was in Virginia City, in Nevada territory, came a miner's son to live and some to die. Where the gold and silver beckoned, they would all get rich, they reckoned. They would strike the richest pay dirt of their lives. In Virginia City's mountain desert high, it was to Virginia City with its Comstock Load discovery. Early settlers came in ragged wagon train.